Hey guys, Charizard1 here bringing you a review of The Rise of Skywalker. Spoilers for one. So, overall, I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was very well made and I loved most of the visuals that we saw. I do have a list of positives and negatives. I'm going to go through the positives first. Actually, some of them relate to the negatives, so. The first positive I have, though, is the action scenes in this movie are incredible. All the lightsaber fights, even the action scenes that don't contain the lightsabers, are pretty cool. I really enjoyed the directing on the fight scenes. Even though at some point it felt it felt kind of weird how they did things. The next positive I have is Leia's death scene when she passes away. They did it very respectfully. I'm glad they didn't make her go out in some badass, amazing way. And because then, if they did that, they would have had to do completely CGI, which would have been terrible. This movie already has a good amount of CGI, it looks like, so yeah, I'm so glad they didn't do that. Actually, since I'm on the subject of Leia, something else I'm going to mention is I'm glad that they gave us some in between information of stuff that happened before The Force Awakens, how she was trained by Luke in the Jedi ways, and how she had her own lightsaber, which is now one of Rey's lightsabers, because now Rey has 3 lightsabers, honestly. I don't know. Which I'll get back to Leia's lightsaber here in a sec with the negatives. Okay, let's switch over to some of the negatives real quick then. I did not like Rey being the grandchild of Palpatine because that implies at some point Palpatine would have had to find someone to procreate with, which this is also the problem I have within the Cursed Child, Voldemort having a daughter. They Voldemort and Palpatine are very similar. They both thought they would be immortal. They thought they would live forever, so they would see no need in trivial things like reproductions, like mortal reproduction, because they thought, oh, we're great, we're gonna live forever. But I'd say Palpatine would be more likely to have one to make the dark side of the Force grow or something. And if he did, I think he would have just manipulated the midichlorians in some poor woman, similar to what he did with Shmi to get Anakin. That's how we got his son, who wasn't very force sensitive, but then had Rey, who's very, very force sensitive. And speaking of force sensitivity, another negative I have is apparently Finn can use the force to some degree, it's implied. And that's what he's been trying to tell Rey throughout the whole movie, and not, which really bugs me. I'm like, okay, if you're getting ready to die, why would you tell her, hey, I can sense the force too? That's very, very dumb. Like, why? Why would you do that? It doesn't make that much sense. Okay, so back on the topic of Leia's lightsaber. In the flashback scene we see to it, it's green. But whenever Rey gets it and lights it up for the first time, it's blue. Lightsabers just don't change from green to blue. No, they are entirely dependent on the kyber crystal color. So why was it a different color? I don't know. Another negative. Kylo and Rey's relationship. No, just I've never liked the pairing of Kylo and Rey. It's dumb. And speaking of Kylo, he should not have been redeemed in this movie, which he was. He turned away from the dark side, which totally completes defeats the purpose of The Last Jedi. Because in The Last Jedi, it's established that everyone has tried to redeem Luke. To redeem Kylo, to get him back on the good side. So, no, he shouldn't be redeemed. That was the whole point of the last movie. Uh, Another plot twist I did. Plot twist. Another thing I didn't like, I guess, was that Hux, the neo-Nazi, was the spy. He got killed anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And his logic for being a spy is, I'm not helping you. I just don't like Kylo. I should be the one in charge. Which, yeah, he was kind of like the second in command. So yeah, he should be the one in charge now. I do agree with that. Okay, I felt like I'm dwelling on the negatives too much. So let's throw in some positives. I like how they incorporated force healing after setting it up in the Mandalorian episode with Baby Yoda healing someone. I'm not going to get into spoilers for that because I didn't put a warning for that. So, I do like how they used the droids. They were more than just comic relief. They were actually useful, more than usual, honestly. Because, see, they find this dagger with Sith writing and it gets locked in C-3PO's memory, so they have to go to a hacker who, and then C-3PO actually has his memory wiped, and then R2-D2 gives him his memory back, because R2-D2 created backups of his memory, which makes sense for R2 to do. Another positive is the music in the movie. I just love John Williams' music throughout the whole Star Wars series, but this one was great. Okay, so now before I get to more positives, I have to go to more negatives because I'm trying to go in somewhat orders. I did not like that Kylo throws away his lightsaber. Like, no. Why would you do that? It's a cool lightsaber. You can fix the Kyber crystal. People have fixed Kyber crystals in the past. See Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars / Rebels shows. Another thing I didn't like is Rey tried to throw Luke's lightsaber into the fire after she basically discovers who she is. She basically tries to burn Luke's lightsaber along with the rest of the Jedi stuff. And then this is something I do like. Luke's Force Ghost appears and like, this isn't what you do with this. No. Shut up. You're being dumb. Take this. And then Luke as a Force Ghost, after giving her Leia's lightsaber, which I do like that, he pulls his old X-Wing out of the pit, out of the lake, on Octu, and Rey uses it in the final battle, which I do like because it's kind of calling back to The Force Awakens where she's wearing a Rebel X-Wing helmet, so I really like that scene there. Connections. Okay, the next thing I did not... Okay, the next thing I didn't like happened in the final battle. The Deus Ex Machina of all the spaceships appearing out of nowhere. Yes, they set it up so oh, it's fine, Lando's getting help. But then we see over 1,000 spaceships appear out of nowhere. Where did they all come from? No, that's not how it works. You can't just have everyone appear. But they can. No, they can't. Okay, I think that's everything on my list, honestly. Okay, except for stuff in the final battle, which in the final battle, it's Palpatine versus Rey, because Palpatine's alive, as we find out in the first few minutes of the movie with the opening text call, which I don't think that should have been there. I think that we should have just cut to Kylo looking for him and finding him, but I digress. So the final battle, Palpatine's strike me down and I shall exist in you. You shall become the ultimate Sith, blah blah blah. And Rey's is getting ready to do it, and then all of a sudden we hear voices of all past Jedi that we've seen in at least all the movies. I've picked out Qui-Gon's, Yoda's, both Obi-Wan actors. Maybe Anakin was in there. I know Luke was. And, oh yeah, definitely like Mace Windu was in there, which I love because in the scene, Rey's blocking his force, Palpatine's force lightning with her lightsaber, kind of as an homage to whenever Mace Windu did it in Revenge of the Sith, which I really like that setup there. I don't like how they introduced okay, they did set up the force connection between Kylo and Rey, but like it was supposed to be broken when they died, but that's not how the dyad because they became a dyad when they touched apparently. I don't know. But I didn't like the forced teleportation. Because at one point, like, Palpatine thinks that Rey's gonna strike her down because she's holding the lightsaber behind her back. And then in the next scene, it's just gone and we see Kylo use it. I'm like, really? That's dumb. Also, the Knights of Ren, yes, they were heavily focused in the marketing. We have 2 variations of each Funko Pop of them, which I am not collecting, because I have limits. Not very many limits, but they were barely in the film. They weren't useful. They weren't. They were just there. So, overall, the short recap is the movie is a good movie. Stunning, great visuals, great looking. It did respectful to me about the Star Wars series. It's probably my least favorite of the sequel trilogy, which does not mean it's a bad movie by any means. I like the sequel trilogy more than the prequels. Yeah, I'll get yelled at in the comics for that, but I don't care. Overall, if I had to give it a grade, I'd say 7.5 to 8 as a Star Wars movie, so about a C plus or a B minus. So yeah, what did you guys see the movie? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. And thanks for watching.